Welcome back, everyone. We are just about ready to get into our next set here at the LPL. You just heard from a very ecstatic Doinby after a pretty spectacular win, and it's good to see that he's still looking so happy.
Yeah, he was definitely dancing around. I asked him when he came in, like, how are you feeling? He's like, swang. And swang means just feels so great.
Feels like dancing.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, it's about time for us to flip over a new page to our second set of the day, something I think the two teams in this series wish they could do. Because we've got Suning versus RNG, and Clement, right now, both of these teams, how many games is it? Is it 3?
Yes, they've both lost 3 series in a row, so this is really about rebounding for both of them.
Well, the hope is that they can actually pull themselves together here in this series, because I'm sure RNG, traditionally, they're looking at Suning and they're saying, ha, this is Suning, this is great. And Suning, they're actually looking a lot stronger. This is not a pushover team, I think, that RNG can expect to just breeze through.
And I have to say you're absolutely right now. RNG are looking like they are in shambles. There's no coordination on the team. They're very lethargic early games, while on the other hand, SNG, even though they've been losing games, it's mostly been about their inexperience, especially in the late game, getting caught out against IG in a very winnable situation. So this match, on the just by the names, you might think, this is RNG easy.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm not so sure about it.
Okay. So you mentioned a little bit how Suning has a tendency to play a bit more aggressive in the early game, a bit more decisive. Could this actually be a good matchup for them, knowing now that RNG are playing a little bit lethargic in the early and mid game?
This is really going to come down to the jungle positions. This is the biggest questions I do have for SNG as a team. They like to play fast. They like to play very aggressive, but a lot of time Tien kind of falls behind. On the other hand, though, I feel like RNG, Mlxg, and Karsa have not been having very good days. Mlxg looked completely deflated after his loss earlier in the week right there. So if we just call the junglers like kind of even right now, because I don't think both of them are having very good games. What I'm excited about is the mid lane matchups, because the mid lane, you're talking about the only 2 Chinese mid laners that have reached rank 1 in the Korean solo queue ladder.
Both Knight and Xiaohu looking to style on each other right now. Regardless of the fact that we're going to breeze over the fact that you just said Hacker and Mlxg are of similar play levels, let's continue to talk a bit about this mid lane, because it is going to be very important into this matchup. Xiaohu, of course, stepping up huge during Worlds and really making a push as far as he could, but now we're coming into a new season. Is his fire still raging as hard as it was?
Well, I feel like Xiaohu has been the only person on RNG that has been performing up to his standards. The rest of the team has kind of fallen behind. And what's interesting is we actually have seen this before from RNG. The last year kind of went the same for them. Before Rift Rivals, the only person with the positive GD was actually Xiaohu, and they just kind of waited until his Corki got fed enough to carry the entire team. And that's going to be the question moving into the Chinese New Year break. Is this RNG just kind of temporary form? Do they have to wait on Uzi to come back? Or are we going to see something that keeps us excited through that extended break?
So that's a question that I actually have to follow up on, because Uzi, he came in last split, he started absolutely changing up RNG, and they became much more successful. What is it that Uzi brings? Obviously, we're going to say a word that's going to make some people a little unhappy. He is the superstar of the LPL. He is a massive name, a spectacular player, but just that he wins bottom lane more often than not, that he has such a late game carry potential, is that enough to change RNG when they look like this?
I think there's 2 things he does bring. That the number 1 thing is that he does bring a winning lane, so Mlxg can go there to pick up kills. Uzi, he still had the highest GD and the highest CS per minute in terms of an AD carry right there. So there's a lot of good things about it. Also the personality, the fire, the experience, the crownless king kind of attitude of wanting things. I feel like the current RNG, without him, they're just kind of lacking in that fighting spirit.
It's the King's Guard with no king.
Yes.
Well, hopefully we'll get a chance. We'll know. Of course, it's going to be Y4 in today, but subbing in for us, we've got our casters. So, gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you so much, Tahm. And Raz and I, we've subbed in for this next match between Suning and RNG. Now, Raz, how are you feeling today?
Oh, feeling good, feeling good. First set really fired me up because it was a little bit explosive. And now we get to go for a Suning gaming set, so this is going to be pretty nice to see.
Yeah, it fired me up because there was a Yorick in there, but unfortunately I didn't get to cast it. But yeah, absolutely, Suning gaming, they've definitely shown that they have that explosive playstyle so far in the split, but we've also seen from their series against Rogue Warriors, they can play slower.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting to see because right now, Suning, they are a growing team. They're a growing team because we love to see how fast-paced they are. It's kind of why we kind of, not so much give them ground, but it's reasonable that they lost those 3 games in a 3 sets in a row.
Yep.
But the fact that they are kind of taking steps forward to being a slower-paced team, that was an identity that they had last year, but this time around kind of getting a solid mix of that action, that aggression that Knight and XiaoAL bring, but also kind of rounding it out with the slow play that they were known for by bringing Fury into it.
Yeah, I definitely want to loop back on the fact that you just kind of lackadaisically mentioned they're on a 0-3 lose streak right now. Same thing for RNG, but we'll talk about that in a second because we've jumped into Champion Select for Suning Gaming and RNG Game 1. We've got the bans flying through, so it will be Ryze and Xayah out from Suning Gaming. On the opposite side, Galio and Braum will hit the bench. Yeah,
2 of the major meta mid laners being singled out here. So now, with Galio being banned out, I wonder what the mid lane priority is going to be, with Zoe being a massive pick that you want to go towards. So it could be Zoe, could be Malzahar. I wonder if RNG would favor the Malzahar in this aspect.
Yeah, I have to wonder. Kog'Maw also taken away from Y4, who is starting in this one alongside Mlxg and Letme. It's worth mentioning just because RNG have so many members behind them. But Gangplank will be the ban out here as the final one from RNG.
Yeah, it's kind of special seeing, of course, both teams actively rotating their jungle position and RNG actively rotating their AD carry position. It really gives that value to the best of 3. If something goes wrong here and Y4 doesn't really pick it up in the first game, then you might see Abel.
A lot of faith in XiaoAL, though. He gets the priority pick of Camille into the top lane against Letme here, so we'll see what he can do with that.
It may be a priority pick that could go to XiaoAL, could go to Hacker, because it's a massive takeaway from Mlxg. That is his most played jungler, and also Letme has historically played the champion, so that's a good pickup by SNG.
What a world we live in where the most played pick in the jungle is Camille for Mlxg, but on the opposite side, Sejuani for the jungle will be coming in, and Ornn as well as that flex pick for RNG.
Immediately kind of setting the tone that RNG are going to have a massive front line. Now the next step, the focus is going to be more towards the carries, what AD carry is going to be coming up for Y4, because he's had the highest damage per minute, of course, of the 2 of Abel and I guess Suzy hasn't played a lot. So he's just been able to kind of be that major carry for the team. So perhaps he would want to pick up his AD carry now, be it the Kalista or the Ezreal, before they go into second phase.
You'd have to assume so, but we've got many power picks coming through very early as well, especially from Suning Gaming, who lock in Zoe for the mid lane here for Knight. See if he gives them the firepower to fight back against Xiaohu, because as Clement was saying, both of these players managed to claim that #1 spot in Korean solo queue, so personally I'm very happy to see it, and we get the Kassadin lock-in from RNG. Xiaohu laying down the gauntlet.
Immediately, doesn't want to go into second phase, knows that Suning Gaming are just going to levy more mid lane bans, so they just pick it up super quickly. Now we get an assassin off essentially in the mid lane. One thing that kind of just slipped through was the Tahm Kench major win rate in the league, and also is an incredible answer to Zoe. So just the fact that now Suning Gaming picked up the Tahm Kench while Braum was banned in first phase means that you have to ask the question to RNG, what support are they willing to pick up? It could be the Alistar that we see from Ming.
Yeah, a lot of takeaways so far from Suning, but it's turned into a pretty strong draft so far. Ezreal ban out from RNG towards Fury here. We'll see if they continue to also hit the AD carry pool, since both teams do need one.
Yeah, and that's going to be a major focus to see what RNG pick up at the first champion, because you would expect now that they're starting to levy more AD carry bans that's going to be their priority pick, and then hold the next one for the top lane / support position. So this might be one of the rare games that Ming gets a counter pick support.
Yeah, maybe. We will see. Still a lot of AD carries open. Got Kalista. Kog'Maw has been banned. Caitlyn as well, if the teams want it. Alistar was the ban there against Ming here.
Yeah, and I think Suning should just outright ban the Kalista. Y4 is very well known for his Kalista play, and sure, AD carry bans are going through, but that's just because RNG are baiting it out from Suning Gaming, that they're saying, well, you know what? Sure, you ban the Alistar, but you don't ban Kalista. We're 100% going to be picking it up, and we already have the tank in a sense from Ornn, so worst case scenario, we just have a Kalista Ornn bottom lane.
Yeah, well, worst case scenario, RNG just say, hey, we have Leona in the back pocket because Ming plays it. So they have multiple tanks they can throw at it, but Kalista has been banned away. So following the same thought process we were there, Raz, Suning Gaming have taken it away.
Okay, that works out perfectly. They have to look towards their AD carry position, and Caitlyn is open. So you might just see RNG pick up the Caitlyn and have that bottom lane priority. I would prefer that. And maybe just hold on to the support pick for the next one.
Yeah, try and sculpt that bottom lane. Plus, they have that flexibility already from the Ornn. But they do decide to put the Ornn into the bottom side and put Cho'Gath into the top lane.
Okay, already showcasing that the Cho'Gath pick. We've seen this kind of matchup quite a bit in the top side of the map. I saw it just recently, of course, last night in Europe. Matchup is pretty hit or miss for both ones, but Cho'Gath can really take over the lane because of the base damage that he has with his Vorpal Spike. So that's something you have to watch out for. If you're going into the later portions of the game with a massive Cho'Gath kind of tanking it up, already you look at this matchup for RNG, 3 major tanks to throw at you. So soon in game, you need to find that tank buster.
Yeah, Camille has been locked into the top lane as well for XiaoAL, as Jarvan has been locked in for Hacker. And also the fact that Jarvan's managed to make it so far down the picking order here for both teams is interesting. But we're looking towards that final pick now from Suning Gaming. They have a pretty good front line. They could go for a hyper carry.
Yeah, this is going to be a massive discussion for them because we've seen Vayne from RNG quite a bit. We haven't seen that much Vayne from Fury. They're looking for a hyper carry, and so now that they've gone towards the, of course, the Xayah pickup, not high win rate, but still has a very strong focus of kiting back.
And now looking towards RNG as well. They still have a bunch of AD carries to choose from. We could see that Caitlyn down there, even the Vayne themselves.
Yeah, I would say Caitlyn both Tristana and Caitlyn have pushing potential of good environment and being able to just walk up and trade. Caitlyn would walk up and trade damage because she has a larger range. The Tristana would be a more, I would guess, a pushing lane on that aspect.
Yeah. Also thinking about this early priority now for junglers coming in here. So Sejuani will be on to Mlxg, got the Jarvan as well. So back to the classic Jarvan and Sejuani matchup. But looking towards the top lane, on top of that, Cho'Gath into Camille. You were talking about that lane earlier, Raz. Did happen in Europe.
Yeah, so the fact that Letme got the Cho'Gath for himself, we haven't seen that pick so much in the LPL, but once you get a hold of it, of course, early game, you don't really want to touch the lane all that much. You want to, if you're the Sejuani, you essentially want to be focusing towards the mid lane. Cho'Gath will do well on his own. The only thing you really have to worry about is how he's pushing the lane, because naturally through his trades with the Vorpal Strike, that does get to push the lane up against Camille. That's when it becomes worrying, because then Camille has good gank pressure, especially when she hits 6. So that's a point of worry, especially now that the Jarvan got picked up. But he should be fine. Just kind of have to communicate quite a lot with Mlxg to see what's happening. Yeah,
really will be just tracking these junglers, because I feel like Mlxg and his counterpart here, Hacker, have very similar playstyles. We've seen less of Hacker than we have Tien so far in the split from Suning Gaming, but Mlxg has so far been the main starter for them, even though they have Kassa right behind him. But Kassa just hasn't really found a way into the LPL yet. I feel like he's having a bit of a hard time adapting to the ecosystem.
Yeah, haven't had a lot of games, Karsa, but the moments he had kind of been able to kind of prove himself, just wasn't active enough. It wasn't a lot of focus on the team of what their objective is going to be. So Mlxg does present that objective, does present that early game focus. He's invading quite a bit. His jungle percentage 4th in the league, 52%. That just means that he's constantly looking to invade. This time around, he's on the Sejuani, so he's in a passive pick, not so much looking to aggress onto the enemy jungler. So it's a bit of a change-up, but it's actually comfortable for Hacker. And Clement kind of mentioned this on the desk, where both of them have a very similar attitude, similar playstyle, because both of them, and although we haven't seen that much of Hacker, because he's only played 2 games so far this split, wants to invade, and so I want to see what he can do on this Jarvan pick.
And even though this is technically a bottom of the table matchup, it doesn't mean that the RNG fans will abandon their team, and you can hear them in the crowd going absolutely wild right now. The RNG currently, this is a 5th versus 6th place matchup, but both teams are 2-3 right now, both coming off the back of 3 losses.
And no way does it feel like that, just because you look towards the global environment. TSM down in NA, G2 down in EU. But a lot of that, fans still have that expectation, knowing that it is still early on in the spring split and they can grow.
Let me put to sleep. He's going to take a bunch of damage here from XiaoAL. Nice knock up there, who will be forced to take Rupture level 1, but he'll have to take a trip back to base.
Yeah, it's going to help out XiaoAL just a little bit, knowing that, you mentioned it, Rupture level 1 means that not going to be too threatening in his early level trades.
Yeah, taking a quick look at the keystones here as well. Not so much inspiration, but we're actually seeing a Glacial Augment here from Yoon on his Tahm Kench.
Yeah, we've been seeing a little bit more Glacial Augment Tahm Kenches lately, just because it allows you to walk up and get the W. So you can actually swallow somebody, just because you have the extra slow being procced in by your auto attacks. And if you're a melee champion, you get quite a bit of a slow on that.
Man, this is the knock-on effect from having to start Q level 1 for Letme. It just means that he can't trade up against XiaoAL, and he literally is able to stand behind the minion wave and zone Letme away. Yeah,
usually Cho'Gath gets access to the wave by having his Vorpal Strike, can walk up, be able to auto-attack trade, because he has decent base damage, so he can kind of just force his way through. That's not going to happen, so he's going to have to play it safe. Doesn't want to use his Q2, because he doesn't want to push the wave in that respect, so he's just going to have to play it patiently.
We'll start to stabilize later on in the lane once he gets level 3, but for now, just kind of has to eat it. Taking a look at Tahm Kench's runes once again, has gone for that inspiration first, going for biscuits and resolve second.
Yeah, what I love about this is that not only is he going glacial augment, but he's got that approach velocity, I think it's called. So a lot of that is just movement speed. If he can get the Q, then he's definitely going to walk up for a lot more autos. He wants to be aggressive on this lane. He wants to be able to get proper trades here.
Or mid lane, put to sleep. There's going to be a lot of damage coming in from the Paddle Star. Hacker comes in on top of Mlxg as well for the counter gang. Oh my god, underneath the tower, taken out, but it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. Jumps over the wall, but the Raptors are getting in on this one as well. 2 kills over to Suning Gaming.
Flashes right back into the mid lane too. You just saw what the Zoe can do in the lane. Was pushing up against Xiaohu. Xiaohu takes one poor trade, one sleepy trouble bubble, and that changes the 2v2 entirely.
What an absolute disaster. Kill going over to Knight, kill going over to Hacker. It's going to have a lot of knock-on effects as this game progresses in the early game here. But that could not have been worse for the mid lane duo there for RNG.
100%. And just think about the mindset of picking Kassadin in this matchup. He knows he's going to get pushed in. He knows that Zoe has the push pressure of being able to just throw her Paddle Star into the back wave, right? That's going to be able to push the wave much faster than Kassadin ever hopes for. But Kassadin should have the trade through wave, right? He throws his Q, that's about it. It's kind of like time after time chipping out in the lane because he knows that he needs to get that level 6 point so you can kind of have those burst trades. It's level 4, he's already lost a kill, he's going to be under tower, and now Knight is walking back into the lane with a Sork Boots. So immediately, with double buffs too!
Yep.
That changes so much. It's going to accelerate Knight's strength in the lane.
This just feels so bad. Like, this is one of those games where, like, Zoe gets early kills and can just go off. Like, this is one of the nightmare scenarios where you just have Zoe become an absolute monster. Power Stars are hitting you for, like, literally 70% of your HP pool.
And just take a look at the stats here coming in from Knight. The biggest one being, of course, damage per gold. That just means that he's dealing much more damage than what items he's basically building himself for. Very efficient for himself. So that just kind of showcases how impactful he is for his team.
Meanwhile, bot lane getting spicy as well. Fury going to be taking the explosive charge here as Y4 needs to start backing away. Ming taking a bunch of damage, but the gobble up comes in from Yoon. Those are all those runes coming into effect, and Fury will pick up the kill.
You're always afraid to trade up against Xayah and Tahm Kench with Glacial Augment because you think you're winning the trade, but if you're not confident that you can get the kill, the chase back is definitely there. The snare coming in from Xayah, and of course the swallow coming in from the Tahm Kench. Immediately takes the kill because Y4 and Ming miscalculated.
Yeah, big miscalculation happening in a 2 versus 2. 0 jungle intervention, haven't even touched the lane, and it's already going over to Suning Gaming is absolutely huge for them. I mean, to be honest, if you look at the lanes, this is one of the lanes you would look towards being like, this could be either 50-50 or go towards Fury and Yoon as a duo, but you never go so far as to say they're actually going to kill them in lane.
Yeah, especially since both of them had their own kind of strengths. RNG's bottom lane had the push priority. They should have been able to kind of push the lane behind Tristana, maybe get a few pot shots on Yoon and Fury. Meanwhile, Fury and Yoon definitely wanted trades, definitely wanted to kind of see if they can get the third feather to kind of snare up Y4. Now that they finally got the kill, coming back into the lane should be much better off because they have a few more potions to their name.
And this is now every single lane and every single position winning from Suning Gaming. Look towards the top side, that knock-on effect from the level 1, the ripple effect, it's still going. Hacker looking to double down on this with Knight as well coming in from the mid lane. Letme's very low, doesn't have 6, does have flash.
Yeah, it's the cannon wave too, so you have a lot of time to work with.
Paddle Star coming in, flag drag from Hacker, it's not even going to be close. RNG lose another member on the top side.
Yeah, perfect roam from Suning Gaming. It was that small window that Knight had to be able to roam topside. Sure, he loses this wave, but it's well worth it to get XiaoAL ahead.
And this is going back to pretty much what we were expecting from Suning Gaming in terms of their early aggression, how they move around the map, and they're doubling down on that and getting an advantage over RNG. It's not even like it's a small advantage. We're going up to 2,000 gold at 6 minutes.
Yeah, it's major. The funny thing about this is that Suning Gaming, don't pick up that Zhonya's. Don't do that.
This is Zhonya's.
Don't even play around with that. But back to the point. Suning Gaming, the last time they looked for a dive, it was up against Jingdong. And it was such a failed dive. It was like in Game 3 versus Jingdong. And it was kind of upsetting to see because they were a team that have kind of already made a name for themselves in looking for dives constantly, recognizing that they all have stopwatches. Who needs to be able to pick up aggro? That's been their calling. And so for them to drop it in their last series was upsetting. It seems like it kind of got rectified, immediately being able to pick up the kill on Letme.
Yeah, I was definitely wondering about that last series if they were trying to change up styles, but it seems like they are back now. RNG, however, it's I was going to say, talking about their weaknesses, but Hacker's looking for invade here. He's got the help of mid lane and the bot lane moving up. There's nothing really Ming can do, so blue buff will go over to Hacker uncontested now.
Yeah, this is something that Mlxg would expect, just because obviously being picked into this matchup, Jarvan wants to be able to look into it, but he also knows his opponent. The Hacker has had that jungle percentage too with only the few games that he's had, and if you look towards how he played last season, that Hacker was definitely an impactful member. If it wasn't for early game ganks that he would get, he would definitely try and force the matchup with his Kha'Zix play. Now he's on the Jarvan pick, and now he's just like gets a taste of blood.
Yeah.
So he's definitely looking into Steel Blue.
Looking towards the top lane once again, trying to put pressure down onto XiaoAL. We've also got Xiaohu rotating, but not fast enough. No level 6 from Mlxg means they can't lock him down.
Good enough pressure, though, to just kind of force Camille off the wave a little bit. Loses a little bit of experience, obviously wants more than that, but still something to get the Cho'Gath kind of in lane.
And now I want to start talking about RNG and how they've looked so far in the split, because so far, not good. Yes, it's a matchup for 2-3, but you have more expectations for Suning. They're still growing, and we've seen that for over a split now. You know, this is very much a new organization to the LPL. They've been getting better and better, but, I mean, right now, Hackers is putting the hurt down onto Xiaohu. But towards RNG, you can't forgive them for a lot of the mistakes they've made so far in this split, because they're meant to be better. Yeah, major organization, so you can't really give them that leeway. I would say the biggest takeaway from RNG is the fact that, sure, Uzi as an AD carry was providing proper stats and proper reliability in lane, but he was also providing a focus for the team, right? Early game focus. A lot of them would just kind of play towards bottom lane and only bottom lane when Uzi was on the squad. Look at this pressure coming out with the Jarvan flag going down. This tower's gonna fall. 9 minutes, middle lane outer turret to Suning Gaming. Great rotation coming in from the bot side of Suning. We'll see if they can go back to bot lane in time.
Yeah, it's looking really good from Suning. We saw that early pressure coming in from Mike, but the fact that they were able to completely answer that, move towards the mid lane, and then push Xiaohu away from the wave entirely, that was a lot of steps to be able to get that down, because that also meant you had to push Mlxg away from the jungle and out of arm's reach from Xiaohu. So it seems like a lot of the play or mistakes that Suning has made earlier on this split, there are lessons being learned.
And it feels like we're getting the best of both worlds now from Suning Gaming. We get to see the kind of more cerebral style where they know what to do across map. They make the right macro plays that we saw against Rogue Warriors, but also what they can pick up early games in terms of their advantages that we're seeing against pretty much every other team they've played against so far.
Yeah, even though they were a slow-paced team historically last year, they moved towards more an active, aggressive point, because it felt like the team wasn't really ready for that. They had to still kind of build towards it. Remember last year they had Avoidless as a jungler, but they needed kind of a more active fighting style jungler, and that's why Hacker was brought in. It's great to still see that their teeth kind of being bared with Hacker in the lineup, but you can see that now he's learning as a jungler, able to kind of put out that slow pressure.
He's also got places to play around, because XiaoAL, he was very much a mediocre top laner coming into a much better top lane at this split, but he also has Knight in the mid lane. He's able to play around him exactly what he did this game, in fact, and he knows he has someone he can rely on.
And for the rest of the game, that's just going to be the tone. Knight is incredibly fed. He's got so much magic penetration underneath him. And XiaoAL has an assist to a name, is on Camille. Level 8 should be able to be a very easy dive for himself. So I think you're at a position where Suning Gaming can and should play through both their solo lanes.
Hacker just getting into the jungle once again, has the pressure coming out. But meanwhile, in the bottom lane, XiaoAL caught out, going to pop the ultimate. And he buys him a bit of time. Not so great in the running away scenario, though he does get a hook shot against the wall. RNG unable to follow.
Woo! That was a little bit of a misplay coming in from XiaoAL, playing so far forward, knowing that J4 is in the opposite side of the map, but he still gets out of that play. So I think that still pulling Sejuani to the bottom side of the map for that entire play, it's worthwhile. It's just a little bit too risky.
Yeah, I'm surprised Letme didn't flash, though. He had his scream up, so he could have gone for it. He had the feral scream, but didn't decide to. So in the end, Mlxg burns his flash for XiaoAL's flash in the end, and pressure in the bot side. Top tower also just crumbled over to Suning Gaming, moving their bot lane up there. And so far, they just have the tempo, they're cashing it in. And so far, Suning seem unstoppable.
Yeah, a little earlier on, I talked about how Hacker should be playing through essentially the easy kills that they can get through their solo lanes, but it seems like they're using that to kind of, they can do well on their own. Like Camille can hold off Cho'Gath. That Zoe is doing so well right now in the lane that she's just basically wave clearing, so they can help their now pushing lane, now pressuring lane, and go towards Fury just to chip down towers. It's a nice change up by Suning Gaming.
And we look towards RNG and see what they can do really in the near future. Y4 And Ming still on the top side, just trying to get some farm back and push up towards the tower. But that jungle, all that side of the map is definitely not theirs. And you can see with a massive flank ward right behind them, Flag Dragon are going to knock up Ming. See it again on top of Y4. Does Xiao have the ultimate? No, just not, but he doesn't even need it because the team is here with the lockdown. Fury finds that kill on Ming. Last auto attack tonight, another kill to Suning Gaming.
And that's the risk RNG took when they were just trying to push out the wave before they base. They wanted to get a full push into the tower. They're like, okay, maybe we get one more wave before we base. Did not see, the communication wasn't there for the fact that there were flank wards available for Camille, and so they just got caught up by it.
This is disastrous for RNG. They tried to move towards the dragon here as well to get at least something as a consolation prize, but doesn't have the damage. Mlxg is too far away, and Letme's unable to solo it, so that's going to be stopped by Suning Gaming. They can now use that as an objective to play around.
This is just really impressive by Suning. The fact that they're really not taking, like, not easing up on the grip. That they had that early game lead, but they're continuously using it for especially that TP play, having the eye on the map. Great from XiaoAL to recognize that that play was available, but then immediately going back into waves and getting a push on it. We haven't seen that much from Knight, which is hilarious, because he got those early kills and he had the early buff, but he's just essentially allowing so much space for the rest of the team by constantly pressuring Kassadin, making it so hard for Kassadin to ever find an opening to help his teammates.
Yeah, he's been suppressed, but he's still managed to farm. He's got 140 farm at 13 minutes, just going towards the 40-minute mark. So Xiaohu will still hurt later on into the game, but then you have to look at how much gold Suning Gaming have just accrued so far in this game, and it's just put them so far ahead of RNG, and they'll knock down bot tower on top of that.
But that's the thing, right? Right now, RNG are hoping for that kind of late game potential. They're looking towards their item games, their item points, where Xiaohu wants his Zhonyas, he wants a Lich Bane. Those two items would be amazing for him. He needs to get to that point. Cho'Gath is thinking the same, where he doesn't have a full item. Get out of there.
Xiaohu, he has flash, he has his ultimate as well, but Knight is probably on the chase. Yeah, has to burn the flash here. Didn't quite connect to the wall there. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Letme, he's been dove behind it in a tower in bot lane.
Unreal. They cannot save a single tower. And that goes to show the same point where RNG right now, they were really hoping to slow the early games down so their late game composition comes through. But because it's getting blown off apart, they have no way to push Suning Gaming back.
This is a Herald at 14 minutes sieging the inhibitor tower in the bot lane. Now the response comes in from RNG because they had multiple members being sent back to base. But if you covered the nameplates, you would not know. If you haven't watched any of the LPL so far, that this is Suning Gaming versus RNG right now.
It's because of how clean it is. This is the action that we missed a little bit. Letme was just a few steps off, but look how fast the Tahm Kench is. Of course, the Glacial Augment and Approach Velocity really helped him out to be able to just net the kill for the rest of his team. He's going to be able to tank up just quite a bit, allow the rest of his team to follow up. Sure, of course, aggro kind of resets on that one, but it's enough to net the kill on Cho'Gath.
7-1 right now, almost a 6,000 gold lead, 3 towers over their opponents. Suning Gaming even managed to pick up the Infernal Dragon, and their mid lane is Zoe, who's fed. Like, it seems like everything is going their way. There's not even a single point you could say is stronger on the map right now from RNG.
Agreed. Here's the difficulty now. This is where I kind of pose a difficult situation for Suning Gaming. For new teams, when you get so far ahead, 15 minutes into it, where's the next objective? Where do they actually look towards next? Of course, the easy answer is the inner top lane tower, the mid lane inner tower as well. Once they take those down, there are no neutral objectives for them to go back towards. It takes like 5 minutes for the Baron to come up, and I look towards their composition. It's not like, it doesn't really have, it's not fast enough for RNG to not kind of like, they should be able to answer it.
RNG trying to make a play on top side though. Nice dodge from XiaoAL. Big whiff out from Mlxg there.
They're going to miss up quite a bit. Look at the rest of Suning. Just because they allotted 3 members to this play, the rest of Suning are going to be able to push out these waves. Might get them a lot more chip on tower.
Yeah, hovering around bot side like vultures, able to move towards this bottom tower, make the play. This tower's going to go down to at least below half. Yeah, that's at like almost a quarter HP now. So each time RNG try to make a play cross map, kind of the answer to your question there, Raz. Suning Gaming are able to respond if RNG try to make these plays.
Yeah, and that tower got hurt quite a bit by the earlier Rift Herald too. So that's going to be in range of just XiaoAL walking up to it essentially.
Well, that was pretty much all of Letme's HP. He is meant to be the tank on the team, but he has built no mana resist. So Knight is able to completely cleave him in two. It's absolutely absurd, that damage coming in.
Yeah, it's getting a little ridiculous.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, he just loses half his health as well. Who's next? Xiaohu?
Uh-oh.
Ready?
Yep.
Oh, he needs to take a nap. Knight's coming in once again with the portal jump. getting ready with the paddle star, and Mlxg really just trying to clear out the wave right now with the rest of his team. The fact there's no Baron, Whitefall losing all of his health though, gets hosed down by the Super Soaker, and Knight is just doing so much work for his team.
Yep, it's a little bit difficult how much cooldown reduction right now Knight has. Every single time he hits a Sleepy Trouble Bubble, you have the CDR from Sleepy Trouble Bubble itself that grants you if he hits on max. It's like 40%. It's ridiculous. And on top of that, he has Merilonomicon. So it's kind of crazy how often that gets thrown at them.
Once again, tagging Ming down to half. Mid tower falls, and just able to go from tower to tower. The fact that they cracked the bottom lane tower so early means they actually have leverage into these inner towers before the 20-minute mark.
And here's why Knight is so threatening right now. Look how many items he has. Now he just finished up Leandre's. It's going to hurt a little bit more. And it's before Letme, Ming even have a shred of resistance on them. All of the resistance on Letme is to deal with XiaoAL. That's armor. But every single time Suning are forcing these plays, walking to up towers, that's pulling Letme towards the plays, and he's just getting hit by pure magic damage. So he needs to be able to deal with Knight, but it's going to take a while before he builds any shred of magic resist.
It is getting to the point, though, that you were pointing out before, Raz. It's like, what is the next objective now for Suning Gaming? Like, you can look towards top lane. Perhaps that's a place to go. RNG seems very obvious. They will be able to mount a defense. But then in a minute and a half, Baron will be spawning. And it's honestly not out of the realms of possibility that Suning can look towards that area now.
Yeah, that's usually where teams, or at least newer teams, begin to falter, is they're ahead of the pace way too early and allows them to make a kind of a mistake for RNG to look for fights. And we're talking about mistakes. RNG's composition really picks apart mistakes. The Sejuani ulti is one of them. Xiaohu probably has presence of mind, so he's going to be hopping around team fights. If you lose one team fight up against RNG, all of that victory that we've been talking about, the 7K gold lead from Suning, can dissipate. So they can't really fall apart with how late game this composition is from RNG.
Yeah, lots of reset potential, but so far they've just been playing so far ahead of the clock soon in gaming that we're not even 20 minutes into the game. Like, we're looking towards Kassadin, looking towards Tristana. They need to get to those item spikes, but they're like an item and a half maybe between both of them.
The key item for me is going to be in Fury. Right now he's going to be picking up an Infinity Edge, and that would be his 3 items. And you compare that to what Tristana has, and she's just trying to get to a second. She has a static shiv, and she's closer to Infinity Edge. But there we go. She's got it now. That's 3 items to 2. So once Fury is able to pick up enough CS, enough gold for him to head back to get Infinity Edge, Suning Gaming are 100% going to be comfortable with their Baron shred speed and their team fighting.
Yeah, top tower about to crumble here, but here's the initiation coming out from Mlxg in with the Ornn hacker locked in place. He should be going down here to Xiaohu, so that push has been stymied out from RNG.
And this is kind of the mistakes that you have to watch out for. 20 minutes into the game, right now RNG have the idea in the back of their heads that Baron is up and available. One more mistake Suning Gaming make, and we can walk up to the big buff. So Suning Gaming, you can't make mistakes into these circumstances. They've been playing the first 20 minutes perfectly. They need to play the next 5 or 10 minutes just as well.
And that is the problem now, because every death, that's another 30 seconds, even 60 seconds on the clock that it buys RNG time. And now Suning have to regroup. They're looking towards the Mountain Dragon as well, because that will be spawning in 20 seconds. Baron buff is also spawned. So there are monster objectives on the map now. That's not just the towers that can be targeted here by Suning.
I like the 1-3-1 they're kind of putting out here, though. Just sending out Knight to the side lane. Best thing about being thrown in the side lane a lot of the times is that you get access to a lot more angles to walls. So if there's anyone who's matching you, let's just say Xiaohu decides to head up top side to match Knight's push, the Knight can just kind of hide behind a wall and throw out just these Sleepy Trouble Bubbles. So it really lends him a lot of help to be in the side lanes.
Yeah, these split push is actually very annoying to get on top of, especially Camille on this bot side as well. Got Dragon now going over to Suning Gaming. Will be completely uncontested. RNG honestly just looking towards top side. All their vision is around that Baron area, just trying to step up, just in case Suning try to make that Baron play. Trying to find that one fight that they can come back into the game with.
And they're ready for it. Look at the 2 items just picked up by Mlxg and Letme. Double War Mogs picked up, Bane of the Existence for Poke Champions, aka Knight. So Knight's going to be landing some great damage if he hits Letme. And it's going to be incredible if he hits Mlxg. And then about 3 seconds later, both of them are going to be healing up quite well.
Hacker getting caught out once again, locked in place, and the ultimate thrown on top of him. But a good gobble up there from Yoon. He's trying to make it away, but he's so slow right now. Dodging out of the way, Hacker over the wall, but the ramp comes in. Not going to be enough damage. RNG look for the retreat here. Mlxg taking a lot of damage coming in from Knight. He's forced back. Both junglers low, but one has Warmugs.
That would have demolished Mlxg had that hit. But Suning Gaming are still pressing forward.
They're pushing in now. I'm looking towards Hacker. He's actually taken Wolves, now going back to base. So, going to be a while before he can get back onto the map. Meanwhile, Mlxg back to full health. So, Suning Gaming just moving towards the top side, seeing they can get vision now around Baron.
Yeah, here's the thing. Your heart starts to skip a beat. Sure, Suning Gaming are still on the right track. Clearing out red side jungle, looking towards the Baron buff. That's the major objective that they're looking to, that they can shred out, especially with the tank stats a Hacker has, that he can start tanking himself. That's going to be great for them. But RNG recognizes this, and they're constantly looking to pick up a fight because their team fighting is starting to get better. Zhonya's Hourglass picked up by Xiaohu. He can start playing a lot more riskier to get on top of Knight, to get on top of Fury.
Xiaohu sitting in silent, just trying to get this farm underneath his belt, but
Ooh,
Knight,
got him.
He's landed the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Can he get the angle on Paddlestar? Just managed to get clipped by that minion there.
So smart from Xiaohu. Recognized that the minion wave was still there, so just press ulti right behind it. That's the worst thing if you're Zoe. Minions hate you.
Yep, they should have bane of your life, but still managed to land a paddle star there. Sleepy Trouble Bubble doesn't quite connect. Jumps forwards with the portal jump, but it's Xiaohu still having to go back to base and burning the flash.
Yeah, basing, no flash, means that SNG can walk back towards Baron, and the Baron fight becomes a lot easier, recognizing that not only Xiaohu, if he ults in, you can try and pick him out. You can try and CC him a little bit, because he's not going to have the instant flash available to him.
This is what we wanted to see from Suning Gaming, turning top side of the map into a massive death trap. Just leveraging the fact that they have Knight on their Zoe.
Here's the thing, this is a mind game now because they cleared out the ward, but they could really just kind of push and start it immediately, and maybe they get it. But they're just sitting still, waiting for the pick.
Yeah, connect Sleepy Trouble Bubble, but Ming will get out of that one.
This is going to be a long waiting game for Suning Gaming because they could just sit in this bush forever, but RNG could just kind of wait it out. They don't necessarily have to continue to push out. They still have 2 blue trinkets available to them to kind of catch up the Baron. So Suning Gaming, this is going to be difficult for them because they need to be able to clear those blue trinkets out, clear the wards that are constantly being put on the Baron, and they either rush it or they wait long enough for someone to check it. If someone comes to check it, you chunk them out or you kill them. If someone, I mean, obviously at that point you put enough fear into them, they're like, all right, they're just going to sit in that bush forever. Wait a second, Baron's already gone. So it's going to be interesting to see what Suning Gaming decides once they come back onto the map.
Definitely a bit of a mind game here, but RNG, give them more time, they will get stronger and stronger. Looking towards this third item now from Y4, mid lane, looking towards that third item as well. So that point where RNG can start winning a team fight is gradually getting closer. You can't discount the fact that Suning are still very far ahead, but there's no easy objective just to look towards. There's no inner turrets, no outer turrets. There's no dragon right now. Next one will be Infernal, so Suning would like it, but again, that's just more time that RNG are getting.
Yeah, now it's just turning into the fact that I think Suning are getting a little bit more comfortable thinking that it's going to be team fights that are going to end the game. Look at what Fury's built up for himself. Didn't even go towards the Infinity yet. Just sitting on the BF sword and went straight towards the armor penetration item just to be able to get more, I guess, healing reduction on the 2 members that have the War Mug. So Mlxg and Letme, if they get auto-attacked, Knight's poke will last longer. And that means that they can kind of pivot towards Baron, back around Knight to see if these fights are available to them. I really love the pickup.
Oh, engaging onto the Tahm Kench though, looking for the great health. Wasn't in time though. It's going to be a big knockup. This fight is going the way of RNG, but the backline very low right now. Turned into the front line. Y4 at the back, laying down, waits the rest of Suning Gaming, but this is just kills for kills. Xayah over the wall, picks up 1, picks up 2. 4 kills for 2, and Suning will win out. Quadra kill coming in for Fury.
That was such a good play from Fury. It starts with Yoon dying. That's your one major tank, and you start to wonder if it's going to be good for Suning Gaming. But then Hacker comes in with his Cataclysm, and Fury follows up. So suddenly, like, you are just stuck in a cordoned-off position, not a lot of space to move. So all the feather damage is just piling up on all of the carries of RNG.
Yeah, it looked back and forth for a second. The fact that Y4 was free-firing, but eventually just managed to run over the front line. Looks like Cho'Gath and Sejuani just got annihilated by Knight, but we'll have to take a look at that one more time. That will result in an inhibitor mid lane.
This is going to be good to look back on, because look at the positioning of this team fight. It looked really good for RNG, but all of the damage coming down onto Letme, down onto Sejuani, all of them wanting to get access towards the 2 major carries are not able to do that. Look at the space that Cataclysm provides to you. Look at the snare that is so easy for Fury to create. So he's able to output so much damage just based off of the positioning and the Cataclysm in the fight.
Yeah, really good stuff from Suning Gaming. Off the back of that pick onto Yoon, I actually thought there was no way that was going to go over to Suning Gaming after RNG got the pick, but turned around, well played mid-team fight to them. And that now results in just more pressure around the top side. Pretty much got all of that on lockdown in terms of vision. And we'll be able to just move towards the Baron as the next objective.
It's funny because a lot of the stats, a lot of the praise will go into Fury because he's able to get the kills. 7, 0, and 0. Incredible for him. But Hacker was really the MVP of the fight with how integral the Cataclysm was.
Yeah.
So really good showing for Hacker in what is the 3rd game that he's playing in the split.
Yeah, really that fight was Fury walking front to back, but yeah, a lot of the praise can go towards that front line there for Suning Gaming. Going to be another Dragon going over to them as XiaoAL picks it up by himself. Infernal Dragon, 2nd one of the game here.
And here's what sucks for RNG. Now that the Dragon's been taken, of course, it's Infernal Dragon. Double Infernal for Suning Gaming means their team fighting's even better after winning the last one. And you know that Camille's on the bot side of the map because she picked up Dragon. So you see Cho'Gath now kind of like in between mid and bot. He's like, I need to answer Camille when she inevitably shows up in the lane, but I need to be here for these team fights.
And over time, the poke will come in from Knight. Just guiding this mid lane in now, but they will need to look towards one of the side lanes, since there is nothing else to take in mid lane. Looking to push up, I guess. I'm just trying to find a pick of some sort, but top wave is a while from crashing. Bot lane is pushing in, but it'll take another 30 seconds or so.
Let's take a look at how massive Cho'Gath's HP pool is. So he's going to be a major force to reckon with, but if he just keeps getting chunked out, we know where you are now. Get out of there. He just needs to find a way to land any bit of damage, and if he's getting kited out, the only real answer for him is a TP flank.
Uh-oh, Ming put to sleep, but there's no paddle start to follow up. Just use that one. So clearing out the mid wave once again. Mlxg, what's thinking about recalling? He's going to be seen very shortly if he turns the corner into this ward. Suning Gaming might be able to cut him off if he shows himself.
That's a big point for him, looking for the flank. In fact, it looks like it's going to be him trying to contest Baron.
They know what's happening. RNG do have this warded. Jumps over the wall.
Too
This
early.
is very early from Mlxg. 2,000 HP remaining. Fury decimates him on the spot. Baron over to Suning.
Can't hurt on him for trying. He thought he could look for it. Very smart positioning from him as well, but Suning Gaming have had way too much setup for that to happen. Look at the pink wards, of course, that were in the pit. There's no way for him to have a good enough information to kind of reliably make that decision.
Yeah, all they could see is then walk towards the pit, but after that, it's a guessing game. And really, the difference between 1,000 HP at that point when there's a Xayah on the enemy team is like half a second at most. Y4 just lose most of his health, so he has to go back to base. Top lane tower easily go over to Suning Gaming, now finally able to crack open the base from RNG. After that mid lane goes down, Xiaohu loses all his health. He has to go back to base.
Every paddle star is hitting from Knight, and he's just gonna base right in front of them. So, this is incredible. I'm surprised they actually based at that situation, because if you looked at the mid lane wave, they actually could have rode that one in, had 2 waves immediately to work with. But they're just going to play it safe for now. Just going to check out what objectives are available to it.
Honestly, just all praise to Suning, because you said they have to play the next 10 minutes better, Raz. They have to play it perfectly like they did the first 20. We're now 10 minutes on, and I would say they played it pretty damn well. Maybe they got caught once in top lane from Hacker, but aside from that, everything else has been immaculate.
Yeah, they're cutting it close. And so, of course, you're going up against the top-tier team in RNG. Mlxg knows what to do to kind of upset the balance. They tried numerous times getting a pick on Yoon or getting a pick on Hacker. Multiple times, it felt like they were always saved off of it. This has been great from Yoon, always saving Hacker when he gets put in that situation. And, of course, Hacker, in the later fight, being able to make the team fight worthwhile and be advantageous when Yoon was pulled out. So it was dangerous. The vision game was kind of hard for Suning Game to play out. But once they really made it worthwhile, got the Baron for themselves, now this is the easy part.
Yeah, this is the easy part. They can just use everything they've done so far. This is the last-ditch attempt now for RNG to find a fight.
Oh.
But they go in and have to disengage. Mlxg loses his life. The backline getting absolutely annihilated by XiaoAL. And Fury walking front to back. He does so much damage. 4 kills ready to go down. Y4 at the foot of his base, unable to get to safety. Xiaohu, he's on the run. He's getting actually taken down by Yoon right now. Support versus mid lane, and it's not even close. Final kill. Ace over to Suning, and it's clean.
Oh my goodness. Xiaohu got manhandled by Yoon. Saved Hacker at the very last minute. And guess what? Saved the chances at the game. Massive win for Suning.
Just over half an hour, and Suning Gaming seal the deal. Take game 1 over RNG. Mlxg looking honestly crushed after that loss. And you should feel so, because Suning Gaming just absolutely smashed them.
Yeah, feels bad, man. if you're Mlxg coming out of that game. You're playing Sejuani and realizing that every attempt that you can make, throwing out ulti, is getting immediately canceled out by a Tahm Kench. So what are you really doing at the end of the day? It felt like there were so little options. Every option was a bad one that they went for. The top lane dive, the 3-man play that they went for to kill Camille. Of course, Camille can get out so quickly, and it allows Suning Gaming to kind of look towards mid lane, look towards bottom lane. There were always a better option for Suning Gaming, and that was all gifted because of the early game.
And you look towards the damage graph, and it's just like Knight did 1 billion damage, Fury did so much damage as well, but I definitely agree with you. I feel like Hacker had so much to do with that win here for Suning Gaming.
It's interesting. I mean, the fact that Suning Gaming are kind of essentially trialing out their jungle position, much like RNG is. So you get to see a lot more games out of Tien, 11 games that he played as well throughout the split, just to see how he plays with, how's the synergy with him and Hacker, how's the synergy with him and XiaoAL. They finally bring in Hacker back, and guess what? Amazing play from him. Real solid play overall, just kind of like constantly on the ball.
Yep.
Good vision control over with him and Yoon, so that synergy is just as good as it was last season.
But this is it. Every time we look at Suning Gaming, we say they're getting better and better. There's actually, I do think, been a point in Suning's history where we said, oh, it looks like they're starting to drop here. At the most, they would plateau, but then they would just get better again. Now we look towards RNG, and they're just in a rut that they can't get out of.
Yeah.
Like, this is happening against them, against Suning Gaming, and you look at the rest of the group, everyone else is going to be able to do this against them as well, and we've seen it.
Yeah, it's funny, because in the first week, that's when RNG got their first 2-set wins, and it was up against IG, so there were a lot of praise. They're like, wait a minute, RNG's great again. And then immediately you have to reset those expectations. So they really have to pick themselves back up.
Yeah, they need to do a lot in the next couple of weeks, especially as they're going into cross-conference soon. Like, they need to start winning against some real difficult teams to go up against. But to take a look at that win over to Suning Game, we are going to send it over to the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. And, you know, joining me here on the desk, I would like to call you Clement Chu. You look like Clement Chu. Your name tag says Clement Chu. But from what I just saw on stage, just because you look like it, just because you have the nameplate, doesn't necessarily mean you are who you say you are.
Are you trying to hint that's the problem with RNG?
I think it could be Clement, because Suning
was that
Gaming,
an LSPL team? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Because Suning Gaming, they showed up to play. And play they did. They growed. They showed that, hey, we can play against the best. We can play with nameplates off. But RNG, I hesitate to use that term because this is a team that just a few months ago went to the semifinals in Worlds. They were among the top 4 teams on the planet with 4 out of the 5 same members.
And only one player changed, and that player isn't even the shot caller, it's Uzi.
Yeah.
So what happened to RNG? Now, we have to break this down multiple levels.
Yeah.
So first thing, I feel like they're having so many problems in the draft phase right now. They're giving up a lot of like priority picks, giving Zoe to Knight. They gave Zoe to Yagao, gave Lee Sin to Flawless. They are lacking in picks, and you can see in their kind of like ban pick situation where they have to ban a lot of things out from the enemy team as well. So that's one. And the second thing is, I really don't feel like RNG knows how to play defensive. We've never seen, this has never been something that they've been good at, but the weakness is more exposed now that we see them going into these kind of bad drafts where they have to claw back into the game.
Yeah, and to get into detail a little bit about these drafts, Suning Gaming, they clearly came in with a plan. They just wanted to push, shove their lanes, start roaming around, look for kills. And that's exactly what they did. They were everywhere.
Yeah, they had a lot of lane priority, but going back to the defensive thing, a lot of these Suning plays were very simple plays. They were difficult to execute. The teleport into the back to catch 2 people out in the top lane, that was one of the most basic plays they could have done, and RNG just greeting for that small amount of farm. And also, if you watch this play right here, if you look at the mini-map, RNG are going in because they feel like Mlxg should be backing them up. Mlxg is on their side of the map. This should be an easy coordination play for them. It doesn't happen. This play right here, you're seeing the bottom lane again going super aggressive. They had lost a kill in every single lane by 9 minutes. All 3 lanes were losing. Everyone was dead once, aside from Y4. And a lot of these trades you're seeing on your screen right now are so much in favor of Suning Gaming. And a lot of the times, RNG are opting into these bad trades. They can't predict what the enemy team is actually going to do. They're just handing it over to them.
But that's the thing. Like you said yourself, it is just simple League of Legends we saw out of Suning Gaming. They've got the Tahm Kench, they've got the teleport, they've got the ability to move around the map once they've unlocked that Tahm Kench, which they managed to do very early on.
There is no coordination happening with the lanes and Mlxg at this point.
Yeah.
There is something very wrong happening on the roster, and we've seen from Mlxg his facial expressions are kind of giving it
exactly
off. There is something happening there, and it's just so sad to see a team that was once the hope of the entire region fall to this type of level.
So to go back to the question that I posed earlier, before getting into game itself, Uzi is the 5th man, right? He comes back. Does RNG just go back to being a top 4 Worlds team? What is it?
I don't think we can let them off as easy as this, because these problems are not Uzi related. It's not the best player on that team right now is Y4. And Y4 he kind of did fine. Like you know, he's walking around, he has positive GD10. It's just the communication is just not there, and it doesn't feel like they're willing to be patient and play the games out. We've seen right there the way they try to claw back into the games is team fight without vision against a team that's massively ahead. It's kind of a Hail Mary at that point.
They layered up under all of the AoE, and it was just a big old mess.
Yeah, there was no type of defensive plays where we're like, okay, we're gonna like kind of like defend our towers here. Can Mlxg come here and we're gonna try to make a pick while the enemy team is pushing in? There's none of that. They always try to trade and do aggressive trades. Props to XiaoAL was able to avoid that every single time in the top lane and in the bot lane as well. So just put them in so many bad trades.
Yeah, such a tricky situation. That being said, we do still have to laud Suning Gaming at least a little bit, because though it was simple League of Legends, a basic strategy that they brought to bear, we still got to see some exceptional stuff. Knight stepping up as Zoe. This guy is so good. Landing Sleepy Trouble Bubble after Sleepy Trouble Bubble. How is he so good at Zoe? How can I become this good at Zoe?
If you land your E's, you'll be a very decent
That's
Zoe.
the secret to it.
But from that game, I just want to say that I really don't like this Kassadin matchup into Zoe. The problem is you let her wave clear for so long, she gets control over your jungle. It's true that Kassadin in the late game can deal with Zoe very well because Zoe doesn't have that much mobility, but you're giving up so much of the early and mid game. And this is a huge problem for RNG right now. I don't think you give up to Zoe and just hope wish yourself back into the mid game.
Well, we've got our MVP ready for this. That will go to Fury in the bottom lane for Suning. That Xayah bringing up some massive damage, 9-0 and 4. All he had to do was stand in the back and chuck out feathers.
And this is really interesting because so far this is the 3rd champion he's actually played in the LPL. Previously he only played Ezreal and Kalista. So not only is Suning testing out their junglers, they're actually testing out their pools against RNG.
Oh, crazy, crazy world that we live in when you can test out like this. And this is RNG trying to get back into the game. The Hail Mary you were talking about, but it's just too little too late.
Yeah, a lot of the good AoE coming out there, and you look at Mlxg actually misses his ultimate. Xayah gets a great 3-man E back there, and Camille hasn't even used her ult so far. She's been sitting on that specifically for the Kassadin. So that's how far ahead they are. They're like, okay, hold on to your ultimate. We should use it to clean up kills.
Yeah, the single casualty of war was Yoon playing that Tahm Kench. I'm sure sitting back during that team fight, he's just, all right. I think this is okay. We can afford to lose this team fight. But still, it is a good, commendable performance from Suning Gaming. They came in with a plan, simple though it was, perhaps testing the waters against RNG, and now they know, for the time being, the waters are shallow.
Yeah, and I just hope that Mlxg can wake up, start talking with his team. I'd love to see him on something like Rek'Sai or Lee Sin, where he can actually make those early aggressive plays. If he falls behind, I just haven't seen the power to come back for RNG.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to find it because they're running out of time before cross-conference is coming up. They're nearly 1/3 of the way through the split, and if my stats don't lie to me, they're at 2 and 3 right now.
They don't want to go on a 4-series losing streak.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable for them.
They're currently on a 3-series losing streak. You said at the beginning, one of these teams could be 0 and 4. What a world we live in where we could say that the team that goes 0 and 4 is RNG.
They're better than top boys.
Royal never give up. Well, Royal need to start thinking because they've got a lot of work to do to turn this around. Still, though, we are seeing Xiaohu attempt to step forward in that mid lane. I do think that the Kassadin into Zoe, yes, he gave up a lot during the early laning phase, but that's still a confidence matchup. He's still showing that he's got a little bit of the fire.
Yeah, and I don't think you blame him that much for the 2v2 going wrong. Like, that's just going to happen sometimes, but they do have to have better defenses for the plays going further on. Because after that play,
that first blood,
you know that Zoe's going to have control of your jungle. You know where the Zoe's going to go. The top lane is so easy. The Cho'Gath got chunked out level 1, came to lane really late, and didn't have any wave control, so that top lane dive was definitely going to happen. You needed Mlxg somewhere in that vicinity to cover for Letme, help him get up, but we're just seeing no coordination on that team. Like, where is Mlxg? Where's the rest of the team? What are they saying to each other that's causing this result?
Yeah, you can actually hear. So we're up here on the stage watching the games live in the venue. We're maybe 50, 100 feet away from Suning Gaming with noise cancellation headsets, and we can hear them shouting out their plays in advance. Everybody knows that it's coming, except for RNG, and they're sitting the closest to them.
Just a small point to add: our headphones are not exactly soundproof. Like,
yeah,
definitely has a lot better.
They're still pretty good, but I mean, it's got to take something. They have got to be able to pull themselves back together. RNG, this is a top 4 team at Worlds. There's a chance that we could see them go 0-4 in the first round of interconference. We're going to go and take a break and hopefully get reset along with RNG.